what do you picture in your mind that you're gonna see in your future going upstate?
I think once you blow trial and come up and you're on the bus going upstate during your time, I think from watching those prison movies and shows, it kind of gives you a false idea of what you're getting yourself into or what to expect. Because like New York State is different from other states.
Right.
And I think those prisons, like those shows, give a false conception of prison really is. You know what I mean? And I think
Hello, everybody. My name is Cripple3030. I'm here interviewing Afi Myers. And we're talking about her incarceration, her period of incarceration, and everything that she experienced. So why don't you introduce yourself to them?
Well, my name is Afi Turner-Myers. I did 20 years of incarceration. I went away when I was 17, and I came home when I was 37. And during that time of incarceration, I mean, I grew up in prison, and basically, that's not the place you want to grow up in. But
Right.
you know, it could have been worse. I could have been dead. So I'm not gonna say it was the worst, but it wasn't the best. And I think I was fortunate because I went to prison during a time where it was still people that took young adults under their wing and kind of encouraged them to go to school, do certain things. Whereas now, you don't have a lot of that.
Right.
People are not doing that. They are like, you know, basically young adults offending for themselves. So you got an angry person going to prison. You got an even angrier person coming home from prison, you know.
So was this your first time being incarcerated?
Yes. This is my first time ever being incarcerated, being in trouble, anything.
How did it feel to actually, that first night, when they closed the cell behind you?
Oh boy. Well, I think I was in shock, and I'm being honest, like medically, I think I was in shock. I went to prison for a violent crime, and it was like I was in shock. I couldn't believe that I was incarcerated, and I went to prison over the Martin Luther King holiday.
Okay.
So it was like we made a stop in like Howard Beach, these holding cells, and I was with adults, and of course, you know, I wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
And of course, I was seeing things that I had never I never experienced firsthand. Like I've heard of people being dope sick, I've heard of certain things, but to actually see it, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy, and I didn't go to sleep that first night, like, you know, because I was in a cell with another young lady, and she was really sick, so she kept throwing up, and I was like, you know, officer, I think she need to go to the hospital.
Right.
And he was like, I think you need to shut up. And I was like,
Wow.
oh, you know, basically. So, and then when I finally did get to like Rikers Island, I never forget, it was during the time that Slick Rick had also got in trouble. So
Okay.
when I got arrested, the officers was like, she with them, and it was really weird. It was a weird experience.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing, I think. You know, it was like, what you doing here dressed like that?
Did you have it in your mind like you'll be right back home soon?
My mother was coming to get me. Like, in my mind,
Yeah.
mommy can come.
Right.
My mother's a superhero. She's
Right.
going to get me out of this. I'm home. And I'll never forget when I was like, Ma, come on. Like, okay, I won't do that again.
Right. Stop playing. Come
Yeah,
get me,
come
right?
get me. She was like, sweetie, I can't. And I was like, what?
Like, for real?
I got to be here?
Yeah.
And even then, it really didn't set in. Even though, like, I knew she couldn't, like, she was like, just give it a little time, you know, let me work on some things. And I was like, I've been here a month, and
Right.
you know, been here 2 months. And she's like, oh, well. I don't think the seriousness of it, for real, really seriously hit me for like 8, 9 months. And then I was talking to the lawyer, and he said something about life in prison. He was like, well, if you blow trial, you're going to do life. And I was like,
You was like, nah, he can't be serious.
life on Rikers, like, in my mind, life on Rikers Island.
Right.
And he was like, no, you going to go upstate. And I was like, upstate? What's that?
Right.
And so that's when the realness of the situation really, like,
It started to set in.
yeah, because, you know, when you're an adolescent, you think like an adolescent. You think like
Right.
a kid. Like, you know, okay, death is forever. We know that. But I wasn't dead. And it was like, this could change tomorrow. Like they could realize I'm really a nice girl and I just made a mistake and oops.
Right.
You know, so. And then I went up to Bedford. Like after my sentencing and stuff, when I went upstate, again, it was like a group home because I had been in group homes before. So I think in my mind, like to deal with everything mentally, my mind kind of shut down. And it was like, you're in a group home. And your mother's still going to be able to come get you. It's just going to take longer than before.
So now, but before we go to Bedford, right? On Rikers Island,
Jeez.
did you experience any kind of I guess, like, what would be your worst experience that you've seen while you was down
Fighting
there?
officers. Like, I didn't have a problem with other inmates on Rikers Island. Like, I really, really didn't. Like, I think I had, like, 2 altercations on Rikers with another inmate.
Right.
For me, it was the officers. It was the way they talked to you. They was calling us animal lessons. And I was like, animal lessons? I'm not an animal. Like, or, you know, I hate to say it, but some of them, it seemed like these are the same officers I hung out with in the club. Now you trying to tell me what to do.
Right.
You know, or I know you from the neighborhood and you know, now all of a sudden I'm supposed to respect you as officer so-and-so. And for me, it was an officer, a female officer. My, at the time, boyfriend was coming to visit me and she slipped him her number and he told me about it.
Wow.
And I was like, you grimy. You know, I just kept telling her, like, you're grimy. You grimy. She was like, you ain't going to be able to do nothing with him. You're going to jail for a long time. And I just snapped. And it was like, I'm going to beat her bad. I'm going to get her. And another time, I had did something, and they took me to the Why Me pen.
Okay.
Where you're thinking, you know, why me by the time it's all over, right? And this officer literally was throwing fruit at me.
From outside the pen?
From outside the pen. And I kept telling her, when they open this door,
right,
I'm going to
sort of like how they do animals in a cage.
Right.
Right.
And, you know, the craziest thing was because you're adolescent, you're mandated to go to school. And I already had a GED, so it was like, I'm going to school for what? You know, like, it was really weird. But it was the treatment on Rikers that perpetuated somehow the behavior by the time I got upstate. Because I'm already non-trusting of the authority because I feel like you're abusing your authority. Right. You know, and that was the weirdest thing. Like, I didn't have a problem with inmates, but I did have a problem at that time, mainly with female officers, not so much the male officers. Okay. And some people, you know, they go through this thing where they assume relationships with officers. Right. I never was into that. You locking me in, I can't get with you right now. Right. But for me, it was like the female officers to me, I don't know if it was they felt like you know better and I'm going to make sure that you know better, or I don't know what it was, but it was like even with female parole officers, I feel like they tend to be more harsher than the men. I don't know what that's about. So
now when you went to Bedford, how was it different, like dealing with the officers in Bedford as opposed to Rikers Island?
Well, I think by the time I got to Bedford, it was there was a special council committee that was watching what the officers were doing with the inmates, like as far as abusing and different stuff like that. So it was a little bit different. Did you have some officers that definitely were rougher than others, or if the goon squad came, they was going to act out? You knew that already. Right. But I think because of that special committee that was watching and making sure certain things didn't get out of control anymore, it didn't as bad. But I feel like now that I'm home and, you know, I've had time to think about certain things, I would honestly say that you have people from the same communities policing or correcting, right? And we both know that corrections is not about corrections. It's not about rehabilitation. Right. That's not what our justice system was built on. So you have people from the same neighborhoods that sometimes doing the same things, they just didn't get caught up, or it could happen to them. Now, telling people that did get caught up what to do, or in the same situation. You know, you got this woman that's watching this young girl get visits from a guy, that you wanted to date because we was all in the same clubs together.
Right.
So now I'm incarcerated, so now that's a chance for you to, because they're not mature enough to be doing the job that they're doing. You got a 22-year-old officer watching a 17-year-old inmate. Come on.
Right.
That's like a 22-year-old babysitting a 17-year-old. What you think going to happen?
Absolutely. And then their whole mindset is already brainwashed with how they're supposed to act and they're supposed to treat us like prisoners, like animals, and so on and so forth.
Your whole thing, you were calling us animal lessons then.
Right.
And it's not that much change. I go to Rikers Island every Thursday. Even now, it's not that much different. And what I mean by that is the mindset is still the same. If you take the bus and go to Rikers, and I know you've been there, you take the bus and you go to Rikers Island. When you're on that bus, I can't tell who the officers are on the bus, just taking the bus over, and who's visiting from who is the inmates getting released, because everybody looks the same.
Absolutely.
So now when you put on this uniform, all of a sudden, I'm supposed to just respect you as officer. But when we were just on the way over here, you was just flying colors. You was just throwing it up.
Yeah.
So what just happened?
Right.
You know, so all of a sudden you changed.
Like the whole mindset changed.
No, it doesn't.
Right. But it's like the how's that experiment that they had a movie about where they actually put 10
people
college
that were
students
that were
in there,
not,
and they took 5 and they put them in inmates uniforms. They put 5. They were all friends before. The next thing you know, at the end, they was all going to war against each other.
You know, it was an officer when I first got arrested. Unfortunately, she got arrested as well. Later on, she got arrested. And I never forget, one of the arguments I used to have with people is, people are people. You know, me being an inmate didn't change my feelings about that. But they wanted to treat her different because she was an officer at one time.
Right.
My thing was, this is a woman that got strung out on drugs. Did it matter that she was, her being an officer didn't stop? That just meant she spent more money than the average, right?
Right.
So I never forget my friends that were incarcerated with me at the time were like, oh, you always being soft with people. You always being so nice. It's not that. It was, she's an inmate now, and she's just like us. Like, she's just like us. Like, there's no difference. Because she was an officer, she's not going to get treated. If anything, they're probably going to treat her worse because she was an officer. You know, she's not going to get the freedoms that we get. We not, you know, there's certain things we could do. She always got to be in PC. She always got, you know, so.
Right.
And I never forgot that. Like, that experience was, for me, it was like, well, she's really not going to be treated any different because she's now an inmate because she was an officer.
So now, did you do your whole bid in Bedford Hills?
No, I did the system, the gauntlet of the states. I went from Bedford, I went to Albion, which was the worst. That facility is the biggest female correctional facility. Their yard, we call it the football stadium.
Okay.
But that was where I experienced racism, for real. Like, I understood what it was. I experienced racism with the criminal justice system, but I experienced racism.
From who?
The officers.
Okay.
The officers. I had an officer, you know, had no problem calling you a bunch of niggas, nigglets, you know.
Wow.
You know, this is the best life you've ever had. All you people grow up in the projects. He's never been to New York. He don't know. And it used to really piss him off because I would be like, sir, I never lived in the projects in my life. My mom owns her house. You know, sir, my mom works for the state. What are you talking about? Like, I would get extra nice, extra educated.
Right.
You know, I made sure I spoke extra, you know, and I did it to get on his nerves, and I knew what I was doing, you know. But that mindset, because you have the whole town, the jails are what make the town work. The cousin works in the jail. He's the CO. The cook is the brother. The nurse is the aunt. And
right.
The sad part with that is that that's systemic, because that whole town is there and functioning because of the inmates. But
right.
You treat the inmates like they're the worst. I've seen, Albion was the first facility that I can honestly say I saw systemic racism.
So what was your mindset at this time?
You know, when you're young, I told you I went to prison when I was 17. So
right.
We go through stages. We all know that. I was at my Malcolm X, Power to the People, Black, like reading books like that at that time. Yeah, and that was the wrong facility for someone like me to be in at that time. And it was rough. It was rough because my mindset was, oh, the revolution will be televised this time.
Right.
And I never forget, it was an officer that was like, oh, you Muslims are thugs. And because I'm Muslim. And,
right.
and I said, I'm a what? Like, I was so offended that this man called me a thug. Like,
right.
a thug? Oh. And that's when I knew, like, I had to get smarter. There had to be a better way. Because you can't fight them physically.
Right.
And even pen and paper, we love to say write letters. I know you do a lot of writing.
Yeah.
I write too.
Right.
But I knew that there had to be, there got to be something, this is ridiculous. And when they realized that I wasn't going to stop writing, I wasn't going to shut up, I was going to keep helping people, I was going to read as many books and do what I could, they got me out their jail.
Now, was mommy still coming to get you?
Somewhat.
In your mind, you still thought she was going to come save you?
No. By then, when I went to Albion, it was 1995 by the time I got to Albion, and my grandmother passed away. That was a game changer for me. This is my life. When my grandmother died, it was like, this is for real. Like, wow, like, I'm not going home, and I'm going to be here. And I finally understood what a parole board was, and because I didn't know. Like, the judge said you're going to do 10 and a half to 31 and a half years. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do 10 and a half years and go home.
Right.
And the counselor was like, no, you're going to do 10 and a half years and go to the parole board. And I was like, the what? Who was that? They didn't tell me about that. Right. And she was like, what do you mean they didn't tell? I was like, I don't know what you're talking. Who is this parole board? And when my grandmother passed, I think for me, it was when I matured enough to realize, and my brain can handle, you're going to be here for a while, and you're not going home, and mom can't get you, dad can't save you, sit your behind down, and just, and I think, I always say that God did that for a reason, because if I would have known from day one what I learned later on,
right.
I don't think I could have survived that. Mentally, I think I would have been a zombie. Like,
Did it force you to become mature and prepare yourself to try to find a way out?
Yes.
Or did it make you get rowdier and you say, you know what, I'm just on a rampage?
I knew I had to be there. So for me, I couldn't fight these people no more. After a while, you get tired because they don't fight fair.
Right.
You fighting one person, next thing you know, you look up, it's 12 of them, and you like, they keep coming.
Right.
And after a while, the inmates is like, nah, you on your own. I ain't even getting involved in that no more. So for me, it made me calm down as far as the anger part, the lashing out. But it made me smarter in how I fought, because I fought like them now. I fought with my words. I fought with the pen. I fought with the system. Oh, you don't want to do this? Okay, well, let's see what the court says about it.
Right.
Oh, you don't want to do that? Okay, let's see what the law says about this. So it made me scholarly. It made me want to look up, and why is this like this? There was an older lady that used to say to me, it's a lot of lies buried in the library. You need to go find them lies buried in there. And I did, and for me, I learned that education is power. Knowledge became my power. And I knew that they feared that. So I wanted to be that person. And I wouldn't let them call me an inmate. I'm not an inmate. I'm a convicted criminal. I'm a convict.
Right.
Call me what I am. An inmate could be anybody in any institution. Look it up.
Right.
I am a convicted criminal. I committed a crime. I'm doing time, officer. Okay? Okay.
So, did they ever do anything to show you that they were starting to understand that you was playing on a different field now?
Yeah. In Albion, I started a program. I helped with other women, not just me. We started a program that allowed mothers that had children in the 5 boroughs to come up to Albion, the children, and stay with host families in the community. So now I'm getting the community involved, and so they could see what's going on in here. I need people on the outside to work with me. I started working with the clergy members, Muslims, Christians, and getting people involved in the prison from the outside. And you know, everybody loves kids. So when they saw that they knew what I was doing, that, you know, I wanted people to see, and I wanted just to be seen as humans. And if people in the community, in the church, in the mosque, in different places could see us as human beings and not just these girls that are locked up or these women that are in prison, you know, these horrible people, then you're putting a human face on it.
Right.
And if I'm treating you a certain way, regardless, officer, how you're talking to me, you know, you're talking about snatching off my chemo at the time, it was really ugly, you know, I'm still calling you sir, I'm still treating you with a level of respect. You're looking like the ignorant person now. You're looking like the animal, not me. So I believe that as they start seeing that in you and they realize that you're going to be that person that's going to make them step up or step out the way, they move you. And that's what they did. They moved me back to Bedford from Albion, and they put me in Taconic. And I thought being closer to home at Taconic Correctional Facility would be better, but it was abusive of power there because they didn't like the superintendent there. The officers didn't get along with her, but I did. And I worked very well with her, and she allowed me to put on plays with the younger inmates and do programs called, I started a program with some other women called Peers and Adolescents Learning Survival Skills. Because by that point, I learned that the system is not gearing us to go home and survive. It's not gearing us to go home and be these members of society that we read about, that we talk about, that you and I have now become. It's not gearing us to do that. It's different things that happen to both of us, I think, that make you do those things, and you're going to go either way.
Right.
And so for me, I think the more they started seeing that, I believe they feared it. I really believe that the system feared that. And I was part of the Deuce Club that kept getting hit at the parole board.
Right.
My original release date was 2000. I didn't come home until 2009.
Okay.
So, you know, I should say that my original parole board date was in 2000. And that was, you know, some pataki, everybody with a violent crime, keep them locked up. And I'm looking like, you call me an exemplary inmate. I've started programs. You got commissioners coming to talk to me about how to make programs work. And you keep, if I'm exemplary, well, maybe I should go back to smacking people. Then you let me go home. So even that in itself is contradictory to what you're saying.
Right.
You say, go to prison, you do what you got to do, you'll go home. You'll make your parole board. That's not how it works. No, go to prison, we're going to make you work. We're going to use you to do our programs, do what we need you to do, take some of the best years from you, suck them dry, and then you can go.
And take your advice on how to do further programs.
Right, to make our place run better. Right. Because I was that person that kept some of the younger people, because I remember when I came in, that pent-up energy, that anger, those scary feelings of, you know, I miss my mother, I miss my family, I'm just being an adolescent, I'm just being a young adult, going through things, you know, or they want to diagnose you with these mental health issues that, not saying that you may not have some, but you can't tell, come on, you know, some things is normal to be. If you had me in SHU for a year, of course I might be talking to myself by the time I come out. And no, I'm not talking in the cell phone. So certain things to me are normal for a person that's went through some stuff. So, like I remember the stupidest thing they ever did. I said it was stupid, and people agreed with me. They had this family violence program in which they wanted pedophiles to talk to those of us that had been victims of sexual abuse. Like the pedophile inmates are going to now work with the victims of sexual abuse.
That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, you think it worked? No. So stuff like that. You know, you know how you say, who told you to do this experiment? Where did this come from? So for me, like I said, I went through being a kid in there, being a young woman, to young adult, to woman, to I ain't gonna talk about that, right? To, oh, they better let me out. I'm getting old, you know. And now that I'm home and I see those stages, because sometimes when you're going through it, you don't always see it as it's happening. But I catch myself sometimes, and I'll have moments where I'm like, whoa, you sound like you at, you know, this age. Wait, what happened? What's going on right now that's making you feel like you're back in that situation?
So now, when they told you you was about to be released, right? Now that you know,
I
I'm
won
about
my
to go
appeal.
home. Okay.
I won my appeal. What happened is I called my cousin in Seattle,
Right.
and she said, you know you coming home, right? Yo, eventually, yeah, we all coming home eventually, right? She was like, no, I looked you up, and it said you got a release date. And I was like, you wildin'. But it was at night, so the counselors and everybody was gone, so I couldn't really ask nobody, you know, nobody else. I was like, my cousin, she smoke a little bit. She might be high. So the next morning, my counselor, they called me downstairs, and they was like, she's right, you're going home. You won your appeal.
So what was your mindset?
Oh, crap. Oh, crap.
Did you have?
I had plans.
Did you have plans of what you was gonna do out here?
Yeah. I had been planning since the day they put them handcuffs on me.
To do what?
Not go back to jail.
Okay.
That was it.
That was it?
No, but, you know, that was the major plan. Like, I'm not doing nothing that's going to cause me to come back here.
Right.
I knew I needed housing. I knew I needed a job. The only job I ever had was I was a babysitter prior to incarceration, and I worked at McDonald's. Welcome to McDonald's. Can I please take your order? I knew I didn't want to do that. I had started looking in the newspaper at, like, the help wanted section in the classifieds. And, you know, that was so antiquated in 2009 because people were on the internet by then. But I didn't know nothing about the internet. So I knew I needed a job. I knew I needed housing. I knew I was a grown woman and I needed to take care of myself. But I was scared to death. I was scared to death because the world as I knew it, and the people, even the people that I knew, people had passed away. People had moved away. You know, people that I thought we would be friends forever, you know, didn't
So
work
you
out.
actually went out to try to find one of these kind of jobs before you went and started doing what you're doing now?
Mm-hmm. When I was inside, I actually wrote to where I work now. I wrote to Strive, and their founder, one of the co-founders, Robert Kimona, actually took the time back and made sure I got a letter back. And then he actually took the time out to make sure he sent 2 employees to come visit me and talk to me. And they felt at that time I was job ready, which was crazy because I ended up not making the parole board for a while after that. But it gave me such hope. Like, I held on to that forever. Like, I'm job ready. I can get a job when I get home. And when I got home, I didn't go to Strive. That was the craziest thing. I didn't go there. I went to Fortune, utilized their services. I got hired.
The Fortune Society.
Mm-hmm. I got hired through Fortune Society. I got hired at Fortune Society. I worked there for a while.
Doing what?
I started out, I was a cold caller, and then I became a job developer, and then I became a career coach. I moved up to career coach, and then I moved over to Strive. When I left Fortune Society, I was a career coach, and then I went to Strive as an employment specialist, and now I am the reentry community team lead at Strive.
And you're going inside the prisons now, and you actually speak to inmates.
Yes, and that is beautiful because it keeps me humble. You know, it keeps me grounded. It keeps me remembering that first day I came home. It keeps me remembering being fearful about housing. You know, when I left, rent was not what it is now.
Right.
And when you come home and you're hearing a studio, 1,400, what? You know, like, and because I came home, I went away as a young girl, so I didn't have children. I didn't have certain things. So when I came home, I wasn't eligible for certain help. You know, you don't have no kids. Oh, no, you don't have no help. Oh, no, you're healthy and you, nope. And I felt like I was hearing more no's than, I actually had a counselor from one of the programs tell me, well, I can do your 2010E and make it seem like you got some issues, but you're going to have to quit your job. And you were going to live off of $870 a month. And I was like, quit my job? Wow, whoa, for housing? I'm not doing that. So it feels like sometimes for every forward step you take, you got 8 steps trying to pull you back. So I love what I do because it keeps me remembering. And, you know, I can look at the guys, some of the guys.
You ever see yourself in them?
Yeah, a lot. Especially when I'm working with the younger population. You know, that bravo, that sense of machismo that the guys put on.
Right.
You know, women do the same thing. We just do it in a different way. You know, this Saturday I had the pleasure of being at a juvenile detention center with younger people that I'm used to working with. And I left there with hope. I left there feeling hopeful, not hopeless, because these are our future.
Right.
These children are our future, and if we don't invest in them, you know, we're going to be in for a rude awakening. But these young men actually were more respectful to me in there than some of the young men I'm with on the train every day. You know, I was Miss, you know, hi, Miss. Miss, you coming back, Miss?
Right.
Miss, you nice, Miss. You serious, Miss? Miss, where you learn how to do that from? Miss, you know, and it was amazing to me that it felt like when I went in, they were looking for a mom. They were looking for someone to say, listen, you made a mistake. It's okay. Let's move on. What are we doing now?
Right.
You know, and I know that feeling because at 17, when I got arrested, I knew I had made a big mistake, you know, a big error, right?
Right.
But I wasn't an animal, and I didn't deserve to get locked away like an animal because at 17, we know by the time I was 25, my thoughts wasn't even the same.
Absolutely.
My thought process wasn't even the same.
Right.
So could we have revisited me at 25 instead of me at 37? You know, I remember a commissioner arguing with me about how many times I shot my victim. And I didn't know how many times. Like, truthfully, I
Right.
really didn't until he told me.
Right.
And I was like, well, and it just at the time seemed like the thing to say to him. I said, well, it wasn't like I was standing there going 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot, 4.
Right.
And he was like, well, what were you doing? I said, fighting for my life. And this man argued with me about how many times and I'm like, I wasn't in the service. I wasn't a sharpshooter, mister. You know,
Right.
I'm not saying I didn't do it, and I'm not saying I didn't deserve to do time for what I did. But you're treating this like I'm a cold, calculated, like,
Yeah.
you know. And I never forgot that. And I walked out of that parole board thinking to myself, he's an ass. And do you know that same commissioner wrote a beautiful letter for me to get my certificate of release?
So now that you do what you do, right, and you give back, right, because that's actually what you're doing. You're utilizing your experience to give back to,
Right.
to these kids and to inmates and so on and so forth. I know that you wear many hats. So besides that hat, what other things you do?
Oh boy, I am the author of and owner of a publishing company, Hot Lava Publishing, writing urban books that are true urban books. Like, in none of our books are you going to read 12 people got shot and no police came. You know, nobody went to jail. Yeah, okay. We also do Hot Lava Chronicles, which is erotica for adults, because everybody need love. Black love matters. Also, I am the owner and founder of Beautiful Visions, which is for the youth. It's for giving back, strictly making young adults feel important in our communities and making them a part of the community. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
So I'm big on getting the youth together, and you know, in my apartment, you might see a resume workshop going on a Saturday. And you're like, where these kids come from? Afi don't have kids. Them is my babies. They learning, you know, early. Teaching our youth about finances, because see, they're chasing a bag. They don't realize they are the bag. And we don't teach that. We teach being rich. We don't teach being wealthy. So changing the mindset of our communities. I'm big right now. My biggest pet peeve in my community right now is getting youth of Black youth, Latino youth together. And the reason I say that, and I make the distinction, although me and you've had this conversation before, is because you got Dominican kids that'll use the N-word all day.
Right.
But as soon as you call them Black, I'm Dominican.
Right.
No, boo, you black. You know, having that conversation, because I believe until we start having those real conversations, we're going to keep having certain issues because we don't have those real conversations amongst each other. So having that realness with the kids, you know, we always say keep it 100, keep it real, and nobody's keeping it real.
Right.
You know, we are chasing Jordan dreams. You know, we're chasing dreams, and my thing is, no, let's chase the reality. Let's chase what it is. So, you know, that's my biggest thing. You know, like I told you before, my biggest pet peeve, I think, and what I tell people is, if I leave this earth today or tomorrow, knowing that I'm leaving a legacy behind, I've helped some people. Yes, I've done some not so nice things in my life, but I've also done some nice things.
Right.
I've left a good legacy, you know.
So now, besides working there as part of Strive or whatever it is, do you also assist people on your own?
Yes. Yes, that's what Beautiful Visions is. That's when I do stuff on my own outside of Strive, outside of Afi Reentry Community Team Lead, outside of, you know, that's just Afi on
Take
her
off
own.
that one hat.
Right, and put on a different hat. I wear, like you said, a lot of different hats. And you know, I've been known to, you know, of course, I need money, so you charge for things, but I've been known to do a lot of things for free, you know, pro bono, just because it's needed. It's needed. Like right now, I'm working on a venture with some other women that have done long-termers. We're trying to figure out what is DOC doing with long-termers, because a lot of us are coming home, and we're having medical issues that should have been addressed for females inside, and it's killing us out here. So
now, if somebody had an issue or needed your assistance in some way, how would they get in touch with you?
They could hit me up on Facebook, Instagram. I'm there, Afi Turner-Myers. Or you could hit me up via Strive. I'm there.
Right.
I'm actually getting an award next week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for my work with Reentry.
Okay.
The Bonnie Potter Award. So,
nice.
But I'm reachable. I'm in the hood. Like I tell people, I'm everywhere comfortably.
Right.
Definitely. And I would tell anybody, hit me up. You know, definitely hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, at my email, afiturner@hotmail.com, because we're a community. We're a community, and I think me and you have had that conversation about how we separate men reentry, women's reentry. No, reentry is reentry, and yes, it's different for people, but as a community, we need to come together. It's more of us than it is of them.
That's a fact.
So
that is a fact. So we definitely need to stay together. We gotta a lot of times we need somebody, you know what I'm saying, to actually spearhead and actually be the first person to speak.
I got a big mouth, yes. That's me. I'm the whistle. I'm the one that will, if, you know, because for a long time I felt like I couldn't say this isn't fair or that wasn't right or why, or question, why did you do this? Now I'm out here and the guys be like, Afi, you know, my lawyer said, no. Go back and tell your lawyer, you know, I'm that person that says stuff like that. Like, no. You know, or explaining to young adults now with the marijuana thing. How, well, if you're silly-o, if you got a bunch of felonies, they ain't gonna let you open up a dispensary.
Right.
You know, having those conversations, and being honest about them. I think I wouldn't say that to me. I'm like the aunt that, you know, I'm that aunt that tells everybody, hey, I saw that, yeah. You know.
So I want to thank you for coming in for the interview.
I thank you so much for having me. Like, me and you always have these.
Right. And every time we speak, I learn new things all the time. You learn through the eyes. I guess I learned through your experiences by looking at things through your eyes. And
I'm also, you know, the last time me and you spoke, I think we discussed this, that I was working on a law to change the adoption laws for ex-offenders. So hopefully my bill is making its way to the Senate floor. And I'm in the process of trying to get a 2-year-old from Sierra Leone.
Nice.
So,
nice way to end the interview.
Yes.
On a happy note.
Yes, I'm going to get my babies.
So with that, what I'm going to do is, first of all, they can hit you up on Facebook, Instagram.
Yes, Afi Turner-Myers. And on Instagram, my email is afiturner@hotmail.com.
And so with that, I'm going to sign off like I always sign off. Never, ever, ever be silent. Talk back right here on Backtalk with Cripple3030.
And now for a highlight on a local Bronx business.
This is Cripple3030. I'm about to go in here to 604 East 141st Street and speak to the director of Graffiti 2 Ministries. Talk about all the programs that they service the community with. Alright, so I noticed that you've been in the neighborhood, in the community for at least 14 years, servicing them. What other programs do you have?
We have programs that serve all age levels within any family. G2 Kids is a program for elementary age kids that works both school year and summer, hopefully building students physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. A similar program for youth, middle school teenagers is GSALT, stands for Graffiti Serving and Leading Teenagers. And then GSALT students can progress to become interns, where they actually intern with us, tutoring younger kids, other students. And then we engage parents through our Parents Rock program, where they're actually involved in tutoring and helping out around our building facility here. And then we also have a workforce development program called Graffiti 2 Works. And it's a unique program where we have a learning center where adults can come and learn. They can work on their high school equivalency preparation. They can have other things to enrich their own education. And we actually have a business, a small business, where people can actually shop and support Graffiti 2 Works, buying some goods that are made right here in the South Bronx. For any information about any of those programs, the best way to find out is go to our website, graffiti2ministries.org. That's graffiti like the writing on the wall, and then number 2, graffiti2ministries.org. You can find out about all those programs, and even shop our site and support a small business right here in the South Bronx.
For more on this Bronx-based organization and its programs, go to graffiti2ministries.org.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Cripple3030. We're here at Backtalk with Cripple3030, and we're having a conversation with Skulls.
How you doing?
Skull is a tattoo artist, and he's also a graphic designer. I brought him out from behind the scenes because in all the reality, he is behind the scenes here at Backtalk. He's actually a co-creator of Backtalk, and I figured why not bring him out to the forefront so we can have this conversation for all the viewers to have. When the concept first started, right, it was funny how we was in your living room.
Yeah.
Right? And you was actually just doing tattoos for me.
Yeah, doing tattoos. Did some cover-ups and stuff like that, yeah.
We used to throw a lot of ideas back and forth to each other.
Yeah, we a lot of ideas. We had many ideas, you know. My ideas, your ideas, and then we comprise them and try to make them real.
And what's funny is that most of the ideas that we threw at each other, and even your wife got involved in sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And she threw her input in there. She's a good supporter. And we used to just like think that it was just talking, like we would just conversate about things.
Yeah, like I used to experience a lot of people, and a lot of people were just shit talkers. They weren't people that will move forward with an idea. They would just stop and, you know, I guess just shoot in the wind for the moment.
Most of the time, I used to just think too that we wasn't gonna really do nothing. Like, for example, I was dealing with one clothing line, and then we even talked about starting the clothing line.
Right.
Right. We was like, yo, you should start your own clothing line, right?
Right.
And he was like, yo, I could even help you. I could do designs. I could design things for you, right?
Yeah.
And then out of that, what we did, we born the whole clothing line, right?
Yeah.
We started the Fam Life.
Fam Life.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got hats, we got shirts. We actually started selling them.
Yeah.
Right. You created the logo for me.
Right.
Right, you actually designed some of the clothes. You actually gave me a few alternate designs too.
Yeah, different colors, variations, you know. I worked with the color wheel, so pretty much to see what works, and also with, you know, with sneakers, so they could match the sneakers. Yeah, I put in a lot of time for that.
But even when I came out with that, I was thinking to myself, you know what, this is just something I'm gonna try, because you know the reality, I was like, yo, we was just shooting, you know, just shooting stuff back and forth.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking we was gonna actually do nothing with it. And then even throughout that conversation, I became a guest in the show, right?
Right.
And when I was a guest in the show, he was like, yo, you should do something, right? You should talk about something. You should bring something up. And you know,
like
I didn't think you'd go nowhere with it, right? You was like, yo, you should have your own show, right?
Right.
And I actually went back to the network where I was a guest at, and I spoke to them, and you know, some brick walls came up with, you know, they wanted to not let me come on their network and stuff like that. But I was thinking to myself, you know what? Maybe I could do the same thing. Why can't I do it, right?
Yeah. If they can, why can't you?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because when you first told me, you was like, yo, you should do your own show, and then we actually started creating something together.
Right.
We wasn't gonna do nothing about prison.
Exactly. We were talking about politics, current events, probably news. maybe the weather. You know, we spoke about a lot of things, you know, but you were more focused on your personal life and your personal experiences.
Well, my idea was that I could talk about politics all the time, right?
Yeah.
I could actually talk about the things that's happening in the government.
What's trending?
I've never been inside of the government office, right?
Right.
What's trending I could talk about, but most of my life where I was in prison.
Yeah.
I did 13 and a half years in prison. So I could actually talk more with experience about a prison yard than I could actually talk about a community center.
Right.
Because
I get it.
That's where I spend most of my time.
Right.
So I figured, why not give a voice to the people that was where I was at, that went through what I went through. Mm-hmm. So that's why I came out with Backtalk, right? And my whole concept of it was that I wanted to give a platform for the people to actually speak about the things that actually occur behind the walls. Mm-hmm. Because as you see it right now, if you look at the media will try to cover up the things that happen in prison.
Yeah, yeah. Like everything is all Walt Disney, you know?
Yeah. And the whole concept of their excuse for everything is, well, the guards must have did that because they felt threatened.
Yeah.
They felt the prisoners did something to
Or
them.
the person is a very violent person or psychotic, whatever the case may be.
Or they deserve it.
Yeah.
That's what they love to say
90% of the people would say that. He had it coming.
Yeah, he had it coming. He's a criminal. What you expect, right?
Yeah.
But though, they never look at the fact that, well, maybe it's that the guards are just abusive. Maybe it's that they were wrongfully convicted. Maybe they're not guilty.
Right.
Maybe they were actually innocent and charged and wrongfully convicted.
But there's history that shows of many people that served so many years and they were innocent. Just a innocent bystander at the wrong place at the wrong time, and they get fingered out.
So now, as we threw these concepts back and forth, and then I actually went along with doing the prison thing, I've actually, you created the logo, mm-hmm. right? And so many people was like, yo, they felt the logo was hot, right? They got the mic with the mouth with the teeth, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I got some people that they telling me that it look like a sportscaster show, right?
Well, that's just
or
it, because
logo.
when I started the logo, we were talking about the news and trending stuff. The prison idea came a little after that. So my idea was like, the name of the show is Backtalk. How do I portray that in a logo? So it came to me, just a microphone with a mic, with a mouth, and like screaming Backtalk, and yeah.
But I love the logo, right? Some people be attacking the logo, right? They wanted to show bars, they want to say things like that. But in all the reality, I think that it actually gives off the message that I want.
Yeah, Backtalk. You're talking back, and you're sending a message, And this is a necessary evil. How many people are talking about what you're talking today? Not, if anything, nobody but you.
Right.
So I believe what you're doing is correct.
So, and that's actually the whole thing. The thing is that when the reason we came up with the name, right, was because when we were kids, right, and things happen, right, the first thing they tell you, don't talk back.
Don't
right?
talk back.
You keep it to yourself.
Wesh.
I don't care what I did. You don't talk back, right? It's the same thing that the guards do, right? Mm-hmm. The guards do things to the prisoners. They want them to be quiet. They don't want them to write a grievance. They don't want them to write a complaint. They don't want them to tell anybody. They want you to hold it down.
Right.
Whatever happened to you, that we beat you, we abused you, whatever we did to you,
that stays quiet.
We want you to be quiet about it, right?
And in the end, who are they going to believe? A person of value like a police officer or lawyer or a judge or prisoner? The prisoner has no voice.
And that's where we come in at.
That's where you come in. Yeah.
The whole idea is to give them that platform so that they can actually sit here and shout for the mountaintops about what happened to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I've had people come on my show with like so many type of incidents, right? I've had people come, they got beaten senseless. I've had people come and they get wrongfully convicted. They did 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And then only to find out that they were innocent, that they were set up by police officers, and so on and so forth. But society would still look at these individuals in the same ballpark as every other individual, right? And their whole concept of it is that they're degenerates, that they don't deserve to be free, that they deserve whatever punishments they got while they was in prison,
Right.
that they deserve anything negative that comes to their life.
Yeah.
And my show is here to stand and say that that is not true.
It is not. Yeah, you're right.
That because me myself, I did 13 and a half years in prison, and I'm actually accomplishing a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that tells me that it actually can be done.
Yeah.
That people actually can come from prison and actually do good things.
Right. Yeah, because there's a lot of roadblocks. If you did a felony, you can't become a security guard.
Right.
You know, or anything for that matter. You get these roadblocks, and you can't get hired for this job, or you can't do this type of job. You know, so this venue right now, what you're doing is a lot more enlightening, where people can see the other side, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. That there.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. We're not actually stopping with that though.
Right.
Right? We got other things in play, right?
Yeah, we got, like, again, we had so many ideas that we put in play, and we're actually working on a new project coming up. I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Well, we're not gonna mention too much right now, but it's actually in the working.
Yeah, right now it's brewing in the pot.
And real soon,
Hopefully,
there will be
yeah.
another show created, and you're actually in it.
I'm actually in it this time, and
this time we brought you from behind the scenes and we put you in the scene.
Yeah, now I'm.
And then I'm behind the scenes. Right.
Vice versa
we
now.
Switch
Yeah.
it up now.
Yeah.
Right. But it is out there, so people they should be on the lookout for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's exciting. Yeah.
Right.
Something new.
Yeah, and it's starting from the boogie down. Just to give out a little teaser.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
That's just it. I wanna. My look on this show is to. Because I've done conventions, and in most conventions, once they see the name Bronx, they frown upon that. So the customers will veer away from us. So now I want to show the world that the Bronx, we're not savages. We are creative people. Hip hop was born here. The whole world has changed because of us, the Bronx. And we are a neglected borough, and we need to show the world who we really are.
Well, we're doing it with creating things. Actually, with your artwork, with your graphic design, you're doing it. Now you're gonna actually be doing it with your art actor skills, right?
Wait,
Because
I'm
you'll
not
be
too
inside.
great on that. No, it's a learning process.
But you know what's funny is that people always see acting as something difficult to do, but it's not an act if you're just being yourself.
If you be yourself.
And that's what you're actually gonna be doing.
Pretty
You're
much.
gonna be being yourself.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yeah.
Hint, hint, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not actually
I think
telling
you're
them,
giving a little too
right?
much,
We're
but
not,
it's all good.
We're not actually telling them
Yeah.
what the show is about, right?
Not yet.
But we threw out little tidbits here and there, right?
Yeah.
Comstock, they don't have no type of programs for us, especially for a lot of guys that did a lot of time, for reentry. So what they did is they moved me to Shawanga. Shawanga had a few programs down there, like for instance, they had Osborne down there. That's one of the programs that, whereas, your girl could come up, you know what I'm saying, and then y'all all do a program together, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of helped me, you know what I'm saying, to regain, reentry. And, to whereas, you get ready to go home, so they teach you different techniques on, people's skills and dealing with people in society, and, that kind of helped me.
So you talking about like the program is it like teaches you how to reintegrate back into the family experience.
That, like parenthood, they had
Right.
parenthood, dealing with your kids, you know what I'm saying, and it kind of helped, but that's what I needed, because I've been in jail basically since I was a little kid, so,
Right.
I needed that, and it kind of helped.
So now you mentioned Comstock. Comstock is did just to highlight it for the viewers.
Mhm.
It's a facility full of prisoners that doing a lot of time, right?
That's a fact.
And it's a real violent facility.
That's a fact. They don't have nothing to help you, like basically no type of real program to help you for when you're going home. They don't have none of that.
Now, what's so ironic about that is that
Mhm.
if you see the government, right, and you see how they post up about what happens behind the walls,
Right.
what they like to highlight is the violent experiences,
Right.
right? They like to say prisoners are violent. Prisoners They don't better themselves so that
Right.
they can reach society.
Right.
Right. But then you have these prisons that they don't even have these programs to help you.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
So now Comstock, since it's full of lifers, it's full of people that committed murders, people that are kidnappers, robbers, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. It's a hodgepodge of different criminal activities.
Right.
And it's people that have a lot of jail time.
Right.
Most of the people in there are doing like big numbers.
Fact.
So now, you would think that that would be a facility that would have these type of programs so they could calm down the violence that would occur in population.
Be honest with you, a lot of from what I noticed from the administration, all that, they don't want to calm down no violence. They just want to make sure nothing don't happen to them. They like to see destruction. They like to see us going at each other. You know what I'm saying? They don't really offer nothing for us in there. I'm talking about to whereas things is calm. I think they like to see drama all the time. They thrive on that.
And that's the thing. Now you had to actually request a transfer
Right.
to a whole separate facility.
I had to make a big deal to get out of there.
Yeah, just to get them programs.
Exactly.
Because the programs is actually was created allegedly to prepare you for your release.
Right.
So then when you get home, you know what I'm saying, you could actually have some type of experience with reintegrating back into society.
Right.
So now, once you got involved with these programs, how much did these programs actually help you?
Well, they did. I ain't gonna front, because I needed that. Because even when I came home, what I did, I got involved with the Osborne, and, you know, I was there. You know, we got our little certificates at the end and all that. But, you know, like I said, it helps you, like, say if you need car fare and this and that, you know. And we basically was doing the same thing that we was doing in prison, but just that we out here now. So, you know, they was trying to help you, trying to keep your people skills intact. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with people, and, you know, even just riding the train was a major thing for me, because, you know, you in crowds. I don't really like crowds, and you in crowds now, and people are infringing on your space. So that was a big thing for me. You know what I'm saying? To adjust to that.
So now in prison, the space, explain that so everybody can understand.
Okay.
Like the space thing in prison compared to what happens out here in society. Because out here in society, you could bump into a person like on a normal basis. You go into the train, you see it's a packed train, and everybody's just there like elbow to elbow, and that's a norm out here.
Right.
Now, how is it in prisons?
Well, you gotta have respect. First of all, people gotta give you your space. That's number one. Not only that, you don't want people too close to you, because then you can get cut, and people do sneaky stuff and all that. So, you know, you have your space. And then if me and you was talking, you know what I'm saying, I'm watching your back, you watching my back. You don't want people like easing up on you. Out here, people do stuff real unconscious. Like they'll bump you, and then they'll smile at you, then they look at you like you did something to them. But they don't realize, you know, they put themselves in a situation.
Right.
But, you know, they don't look at it like how you look at it from being behind a wall.
Right.
So, you know, you have to remember that you're not in prison no more. You're out here. So you can't handle things the same way. And basically, that's the whole thing. You have to know the difference. You out here in society, you gotta live different. People do different things. So you have to be mindful of that.
Now, these programs that you took before you were released, did they help prepare you for that mindset, that change in the mindset?
Well, okay, like I said, when I left upstate and they brought me closer to the city.
Backtalk.